My name is Ethan Carter. For 3 years, I believed I had found the woman I would spend my life with. Victoria Hayes was everything people admired. She was the young CEO of a billion-dollar company. She was confident, fearless, and always knew exactly what she wanted. I love that about her. I stood beside her through every late night, every difficult meeting, and every stressful business crisis. Whenever she needed me, I was there. I never complained, even when my own dreams had to wait. Today was supposed to be our day. I stood at the altar, trying to steady my breathing as guests filled the beautiful wedding hall. Mason nudged my shoulder. "You look like you're about to faint." I laughed nervously. "Is it that obvious?" "A little. I've never been this nervous." "That's because you're about to marry the woman you've been talking about every single day for 3 years." "I know. You happy?" "I've never been happier." He smiled. "Good. You deserve this." "I hope so." Music echoed softly through the room. My mother walked over, wiping away happy tears. "You look so handsome." "Thanks, Mom. Your father would be so proud today." I swallowed hard. "I wish he could see this." "He can." She squeezed my hand. "He always believed you'd build a beautiful family." "I'm finally doing it." "Yes, you are." She hugged me tightly. "I love you." "I love you too." She stepped back just as the wedding coordinator hurried toward us. "Everything is ready." I smiled. "Is Victoria here?" "She arrived a few minutes ago." My heart raced. "Great." The guests slowly became quiet. Everyone stood. I looked toward the entrance. This was it. The doors opened. Victoria appeared. She looked breathtaking. Our eyes met. She smiled. I smiled back. Every worry disappeared. She slowly walked toward me. Halfway down the aisle, her phone rang. She frowned. I watched her glance at the screen. Her expression changed immediately. The color drained from her face. She answered without hesitation. "Hello." Silence. Then I heard her whisper. "What?" Her breathing became uneven. "No." She turned away from everyone. "I'll come right now." She ended the call. I stepped toward her. "Victoria?" She looked at me with panic in her eyes. "My ex. Daniel." I blinked. "What about him?" "He's been in a serious accident." For a second, I thought she was simply shocked. Then she grabbed her purse. "I'm sorry, Ethan." My chest tightened. "What are you doing?" "I have to go." I stared at her. "What about our wedding?" "I'll explain later." "No." She froze. "What?" "No, explain now." "Daniel has nobody, and I'm standing here waiting to marry you." "I know." "Do you?" She looked away. "He needs me." "I need you." "I'm sorry." "Victoria, I have to leave." She started walking toward the exit. I reached for her hand. She gently pulled away. "Please don't make this harder." "Harder?" My voice cracked. "You think this is hard because I'm asking my bride not to leave our wedding?" Tears filled her eyes. "I'll make it up to you." "When?" "I don't know." "You don't know?" "I just need to see him." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So you're choosing him?" "I'm not choosing anyone." "You already did." The room had become painfully silent. Every guest was watching us. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Victoria looked around, embarrassed. "I'll explain everything." "When?" "Later." "There won't be a later if you walk out that door." She closed her eyes. "I'm sorry." Then she turned around and walked away. The doors closed behind her. The sound echoed through the empty silence. Nobody clapped. Nobody spoke. Someone quietly gasped. Then the whispers began. "I can't believe she left." "Did that really happen?" "That's heartbreaking." "I feel so bad for him." I couldn't hear anything else. Everything around me became distant. My mother covered her mouth. She started crying. Mason hurried over. "Ethan." I didn't answer. "Ethan, look at me." I stared at the closed doors. "She's gone." "I know." "She actually left." "I know." "For him." Mason sighed. "I'm sorry." My mother walked over. "My son." She hugged me tightly. I stood there without moving. "I'm so sorry." I whispered. "I don't understand." "You don't have to." "I thought she loved me." My mother cried harder. "You deserve so much better." The guests slowly began leaving. Nobody knew what to say. Several people stopped beside me. "I'm sorry." "You'll get through this." "This isn't your fault." I thanked them without really hearing their words. Eventually, the wedding hall became almost empty. The flowers were still beautiful. The music had stopped. The cake remained untouched. The decorations suddenly felt meaningless. Hours passed. I sat alone at one of the tables, still wearing my wedding suit, still wearing the ring, still wondering how everything had fallen apart in just a few minutes. Then my phone vibrated. A message from Victoria. I opened it. Please understand. Daniel has no one else. We'll get married another day. I read it again. Another day. That was all our wedding meant to her. Another day. 3 years together. Months of planning. Hundreds of guests. Our families. Our promises. Everything could simply wait. Because Daniel needed her. I laughed quietly. It didn't sound like laughter. It sounded broken. I looked at the engagement ring on my finger. For 3 years, I believed this ring represented forever. Now it felt like a chain. I slowly removed it. It rested in my palm. Small, cold, meaningless. I whispered to myself, I deserve better. For the first time that day, I believed those words. Not because I had stopped loving Victoria, but because love should never make someone feel like second place. I stood up. There was nothing left for me inside that hall. No bride, no wedding, no future waiting at the altar. Only memories I no longer wanted. I slipped the ring into my pocket. Without looking back, I walked toward the exit. The evening air hit my face as I stepped outside alone. Behind me, the wedding venue still glowed with lights meant to celebrate a marriage that never happened. Somewhere across the city, Victoria probably believed everything could simply be postponed. She had no idea that as I walked away, I wasn't leaving a wedding. I was leaving her forever. I ignored Victoria's calls. One day became two. Two became three. My phone never stopped vibrating. Every few hours, another message appeared. Please answer. I'm worried about you. We need to talk. You're overreacting. Daniel only needed me for one day. One day. I stared at those words until the screen went dark. One day was apparently enough to destroy 3 years. I tossed my phone onto the couch. I can't do this, I muttered. The apartment felt painfully quiet. Every room reminded me of Victoria. The coffee mug she bought me. The framed picture from our first vacation. The blanket she insisted was too expensive. Everything carried a memory. I wanted silence. Instead, I heard her voice in my head. I'll explain later. Another lie. Another promise. Another excuse. The more I thought about our relationship, the more strange moments returned. The canceled dinner because an unexpected meeting appeared. The weekend trip she postponed twice. The mysterious phone calls she always answered in another room. The business conferences where Daniel somehow appeared afterward in casual conversation. At the time, I trusted her. Now, every memory felt different. I leaned back and closed my eyes. How many signs did I ignore? A knock interrupted my thoughts. I opened the door. Mason stood there holding 2 coffees. You look terrible. I feel worse. I figured. He handed me a cup. I brought caffeine. You always know what I need. I wish coffee could fix this. He walked inside. The apartment was silent for several seconds. Finally, he asked, has she stopped calling? No. You answered, no. Good. I frowned. You don't sound surprised. I'm not. What does that mean? Mason sighed heavily. It means there's something I need to show you. My stomach tightened. What is it? He pulled out his phone. I'm sorry. For what? For ruining what's left of your hope. He opened a folder. I didn't want you to see these. My heartbeat quickened. What pictures? He turned the screen toward me. I froze. Victoria sat beside Daniel in a hospital room. She wasn't crying. She wasn't panicking. She was smiling. I swiped to the next photo. She held Daniel's hand. Another. She leaned forward and hugged him. Another. They laughed together. It looked less like a hospital visit and more like 2 people enjoying each other's company. I couldn't breathe. When were these taken? The same day as your wedding. I stared at him. You're sure? Positive. My hand started shaking. There has to be an explanation. Mason didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked directly into my eyes. Ethan. What? This wasn't an emergency. I swallowed hard. Then what was it? She chose him. Those 4 words hit harder than anything else. She chose him. Not the accident. Not the hospital. Him. I looked at another picture. Daniel smiled as Victoria adjusted his blanket. She smiled back. There was warmth in her eyes. Warmth I thought belonged to me. I whispered, She looked happier there than she did at our wedding. Mason stayed silent. There has to be something I'm missing. I hope so too. I handed his phone back. I need answers. Are you sure? Yes. You're probably not going to like them. I already don't. That evening, I finally answered Victoria's request to meet. She arrived within 20 minutes. The moment she saw me, relief crossed her face. Ethan. She reached toward me. I stepped back. Her smile disappeared. I've been trying to call. I know. Why didn't you answer? I needed time. I've been worried. I laughed bitterly. You were worried? Of course. She looked exhausted. I know you're hurt. Hurt? Ethan. No. I shook my head. Don't tell me how I feel. She lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. Were you? Yes. Then explain. She took a deep breath. It wasn't what you think. I crossed my arms. Then tell me what I should think. He was scared. So was I. She looked away. He needed someone. I needed my bride. I know. No. I stepped closer. You don't. Her lips trembled. I made a difficult choice. You made an easy one. That's not fair. Really? I pulled out my phone. I opened one of the photos Mason had sent me. I held it in front of her. Her face turned pale. Where did you get that? Does it matter? She couldn't answer. I showed another picture. Then another. You looked happy. It wasn't like that. You were holding his hand. He was emotional. You hugged him. He was overwhelmed. You smiled. She remained silent. I waited. Nothing. The silence stretched between us. I finally whispered, so that's your explanation? She still said nothing. That silence hurt more than any lie she could have invented, because silence admitted what words refused to say. I slipped my phone back into my pocket. I trusted you. I know. I defended you every time someone questioned our relationship. I'm sorry. I built my future around you. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I never wanted this, but it happened. She reached for me again. Ethan, please. I stepped away. I don't even know who you are anymore. My phone suddenly rang. Neither of us recognized the number. I answered anyway. Hello. A calm male voice replied. Ethan, who's this? I'm Daniel. The name alone made my chest tighten. What do you want? I wanted to talk. About what? About Victoria. I glanced at her. She looked confused. I never asked her to leave you. I stayed quiet. I didn't know she'd actually do it. But you didn't stop her. He chuckled softly. I guess she still loves me. The world seemed to stop. Victoria's eyes widened. Daniel, don't. He had already ended the call. I slowly lowered my phone. The room felt colder. Victoria shook her head desperately. Don't listen to him. Why shouldn't I? He's trying to hurt us. Us. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. I nodded slowly. I understand now. No, you don't. I do. Ethan, please. I was never your first choice. That's not true. Then why was he the one you ran to? She couldn't answer. Again, only silence. I walked past her toward the bedroom. What are you doing? Finishing something. I pulled 2 large boxes from the closet. Inside were every birthday gift, every anniversary present, every handwritten letter, every photo album she had ever given me. She watched with tears streaming down her face. Please don't. I'm done pretending this can be fixed. You don't mean that. I do. You'll calm down. I looked at her one last time. No. I sealed the first box with tape. Then the second. Our wedding is officially canceled. She gasped. You can't decide that alone. I just did. I picked up the boxes. Tomorrow, these are going back to you. Ethan, I hope Daniel appreciates everything you gave up. She collapsed into a chair, crying. I walked to the door without looking back. For the first time in 3 years, I wasn't carrying hopes for our future. I was carrying the last pieces of our past, and I was finally ready to let them go. I walked away. Then everything changed. Losing Victoria felt like losing half my life. For weeks, I woke up expecting to see her messages. I reached for my phone before remembering everything was over. Some mornings hurt so much that I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling. Other mornings I forced myself to get up because I refused to let heartbreak become my future. One afternoon, Mason stopped by again. He looked around my apartment. You cleaned. I needed a fresh start. The pictures are gone. So are the gifts. You okay? I thought about the question. No. He nodded. That's honest. But I'm getting there. What changed? I smiled faintly. I got tired of feeling sorry for myself. He laughed. Now that's the Ethan I know. I forgot who that guy was. Find him. I'm trying. No. He shook his head. Don't try. What then? Choose yourself. Those words stayed with me long after he left. That night, I opened an old email. It had been sitting in my inbox for almost 2 years. A business proposal. Back then, I rejected it because Victoria wanted me close while she expanded her company. She had said, "We'll build our future together." So I had ignored my own dream. Now I read the message again. At the bottom was a phone number. I stared at it for several minutes. Finally, I called. A familiar voice answered. Ethan. Hi, Oliver. A surprised laugh came through the speaker. I never thought I'd hear from you. I've been thinking. About the offer? Is it too late? He answered immediately. No. My heart raced. You still want me? I always did. I turned you down. You chose love. I chose the wrong thing. Oliver stayed quiet. Then he said, So what do you choose now? I looked out the window. Myself. He laughed. I like that answer. When do we start? Tomorrow. The next morning I walked into a small office with peeling paint, old desks, and a team of only 6 people. Oliver shook my hand. Welcome, partner. Partner, I wasn't offering you a job. He smiled. I was offering you ownership. I blinked. You mean, I want you as co-founder. I couldn't believe it. You trust me that much? I wouldn't have waited 2 years if I didn't. I shook his hand. Let's build something. We will. The months that followed changed everything. I worked harder than I ever had before. Long days became longer nights. Coffee replaced sleep. Meetings filled every hour. Whenever problems appeared, we solved them together. Whenever someone said something couldn't be done, we found another way. For the first time in years, my energy wasn't spent chasing someone's approval. It was spent building my own future. Our small team became 10 people, then 20, then 50. Clients kept arriving. Investors became interested. One morning, Oliver rushed into my office. You need to see this. What happened? He handed me a tablet. Our company was on the front page of a business website. I read the headline aloud. One of the fastest growing technology startups of the year. I looked at him. We did this. He grinned. No. He pointed around the office. We all did. The team erupted into applause. Someone shouted, Pizza tonight. Another yelled, Make it steak. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. A real laugh. Not the broken sound that escaped me after the wedding. Weeks later, I flew to another city for an investor meeting, then another country for a technology conference. I met brilliant people, learned new ideas, saw places I'd always wanted to visit. Every journey reminded me that my world had once been so small. I had centered my entire life around one person. Now, my life belonged to me again. One evening, my mother called. I saw you on television. I smiled. You did. You looked confident. I wasn't. You fooled everyone. I've learned that confidence grows. I'm proud of you. Thanks, Mom. Your father would be smiling today. I looked out the hotel window. I hope so. He would. For the first time in months, I believed it. Life kept moving. So did I. Then Mason invited me to dinner. As soon as we sat down, he asked, Have you heard about Victoria? I shook my head. No. Her company is struggling. I stayed silent. Several investors pulled out. Really? Employees are resigning. I slowly sipped my coffee. The media is questioning her leadership. I looked at him. That's unfortunate. He studied my face. You don't seem happy about it. I'm not. You don't seem sad either. I'm just finished. He smiled. I've been waiting to hear you say that. Months passed again. Our company moved into a beautiful new office overlooking the city. The view reminded me every morning how far I'd come. My assistant knocked on the door. You have a visitor. Who? She didn't have an appointment. I frowned. Did she give a name? Victoria Hayes. The room became completely quiet. I leaned back. For a moment, I considered saying no. Instead, I nodded. Send her in. The door opened slowly. Victoria walked inside. I barely recognized her. She looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded her eyes. Her shoulders were slumped. The confident woman who once controlled every room had disappeared. She stopped a few feet from my desk. Ethan. I stood politely. Hello, Victoria. She looked around the office. You've done well. Thank you. I've been following your company. I assumed so. She looked at me for a long moment. I miss you. I remained calm. I miss the man I used to be. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry. I didn't answer. I think about that day every single morning. Silence. I wish I could change it. Silence again. I made the biggest mistake of my life. She finally began crying. The tears came without control. She covered her face. I lost everything. I looked at the woman I once planned to spend forever with. Months earlier, I would have crossed the room and held her. Now I simply stood where I was. I know. She lowered her hands. That's all you have to say? Yes. You don't hate me? No. You don't love me? I answered honestly. I don't wait for you anymore. Her breathing caught. I know what you thought. She wiped her tears. I believed you'd forgive me. I already did. Hope appeared in her eyes. Then, I forgave you for my own peace. The hope disappeared. But forgiveness doesn't rebuild trust. She stared at me without speaking. For the first time since the wedding, she truly understood. I wasn't trying to make her jealous. I wasn't pretending to be strong. I wasn't waiting for her to realize what she had lost. I had already moved on. She looked around my office one final time, then back at me. Only then did she realize the hardest truth of all. The man she expected to find was gone, and he wasn't coming back. After Victoria visited my office, I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. 3 days later, flowers arrived. My assistant carried them inside. They're beautiful. They're also going back. She looked at the card. It's for Victoria. I figured. What should I do? Return them. Without reading the note. I don't need to. She nodded. I'll take care of it. The flowers disappeared. A week later, another delivery arrived. This time was a handwritten letter. My assistant placed it on my desk. You sure you don't want to read it? No, not even once. I've already heard everything she has to say. She picked it up again. I'll send it back. Thank you. Then came the phone calls. Always late at night. Always after midnight. My screen would light up. Victoria. 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 I never answered. Eventually the calls stopped. I thought she had finally accepted reality. Then my mother called. Ethan. Hi, Mom. I need to tell you something. What happened? Victoria came to visit. I closed my eyes. When? This afternoon. What did she want? She apologized. And she cried. I stayed quiet. She said she wanted another chance. What did you tell her? I told her my son had already suffered enough. A smile appeared on my face. You actually said that? I did. What did she do? She thanked me. I looked out my office window. She's still trying. Yes. My mother sighed. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I remembered your wedding day. Neither of us spoke for a moment. Finally, she asked, Are you okay? I am. You sound different. I finally mean it. I'm glad. So am I. Life returned to normal. Meetings. Deadlines. Travel. Growth. Every week, our company became stronger. Every week, thoughts of Victoria became weaker. Then Mason called one evening. You free? What's going on? I found out something. What is it? It's about Daniel. I leaned back. I haven't heard that name in months. You'll want to hear this. We met an hour later. Mason placed his phone on the table. I have a friend who works with one of Daniel's investors. I waited. He never planned to get back together with Victoria. I frowned. What? He used her. For what? Her business connections. I stared at him. That's impossible. He needed introductions. To investors? Exactly. And Victoria helped him. Without asking questions. I slowly shook my head. What happened after that? Mason gave a humorless laugh. His business recovered. And he disappeared. I couldn't believe it. He left. He accepted funding, expanded his company, and walked away. What about Victoria? He stopped answering her calls. I looked down at my coffee. So she lost him too. Yes. Mason sighed. I guess that karma. I didn't answer. Because the truth was simpler. Actions always have consequences. Weeks later, another story spread through the business community. Victoria's company continued struggling. More executives resigned. More investors left. News articles questioned every decision she made. The same media that once praised her confidence now criticized her leadership. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I simply kept working. One Friday afternoon, I finished early. Instead of going home, I walked through downtown. Without thinking, My feet carried me to the little coffee shop where Victoria and I had spent countless weekends. The place looked exactly the same. The same wooden tables, the same quiet music, the same smell of fresh coffee. I ordered my usual drink. The owner smiled. Long time. It has been. Good to see you again. You too. I sat beside the window. For a while I'd simply watched people walking outside. Then I heard a familiar voice. Ethan. I turned. Victoria stood a few feet away. She looked thinner than before. Tired. Lost. She held the cup with both hands, as if it were the only thing keeping her steady. Can I sit? I thought for a moment. Okay. She slowly sat across from me. Neither of us spoke. Finally she whispered, I come here sometimes. I know. You do. The owner mentioned seeing you. She looked down. I guess I hoped I'd find you. You did. A sad smile crossed her face. I deserve this. I nodded once. You do. She didn't argue. She simply accepted it. I kept blaming everyone else. Silence. I blamed Daniel. Silence. I blamed work. Silence. I even blamed you. She laughed bitterly. Can you believe that? I can. I was wrong. Yes. She looked directly into my eyes. I loved you. I know. No. She shook her head. I really did. I believe you. Then why wasn't that enough? Because love without respect eventually breaks. Tears gathered in her eyes. I understand that now. I'm glad. I wish I had understood sooner. So do I. She wiped her face. Daniel never loved me. I stayed quiet. He wanted my contacts. Silence. He wanted my influence. Silence. When he got everything he needed, she looked away. He left. I'm sorry that happened. She looked surprised. You are. I don't enjoy watching people suffer. Even me. Even you. She cried quietly. I lost him. I nodded. I lost my company. Another nod. I lost everyone's respect. I didn't interrupt. And I lost you. The words hung between us. Finally, she asked the question I already expected. Can you forgive me? I looked at her carefully. Months ago, I had imagined this moment countless times. Back then, I thought I would feel satisfaction. Instead, I felt calm. I already have. Hope immediately appeared in her eyes. She leaned forward. Really? Yes. A tiny smile formed on her face. Then I finished my sentence. But forgiveness doesn't mean another chance. The smile disappeared. Her shoulders dropped. I understand. I think you do. I kept believing there was hope. There isn't. She nodded slowly. I waited too long. Yes. She covered her eyes. I'm so tired. I know. I don't even recognize myself anymore. Neither do I. She took a deep breath. I wish I could go back. You can't. I know. We sat together for another minute. No anger. No shouting. No accusations. Just silence. I stood up and placed money on the table. Victoria looked at me. This is goodbye, isn't it? I smiled gently. It already happened a long time ago. She lowered her head. Take care of yourself. You too. I turned and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard quiet sobbing. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. The old version of me would have returned. He would have comforted her. He would have believed promises. He would have given love another chance. That man no longer existed. As I stepped into the evening air, I realized something surprising. I wasn't carrying anger anymore. I wasn't carrying regret. I wasn't carrying heartbreak. For the first time since the wedding that never happened, I carried only peace. And that was worth more than everything I'd lost. 1 year passed faster than I expected. If someone had told me on my wedding day that my life would become better than I ever imagined, I would have laughed. Back then, all I could see was loss. Now all I could see was possibility. Our company grew beyond every prediction. We opened offices in new cities, then in new countries. Every month brought another milestone. Every challenge made us stronger. One Monday morning, Oliver walked into my office carrying a bottle of sparkling juice. We did it. What happened? He placed a report on my desk. I read the first page twice. We're international. He grinned. Our newest office officially opened this morning. I stood up. We actually built this. We did. I laughed. I still remember the tiny office, and the broken coffee machine, the peeling paint, the folding chairs. We've come a long way. I looked around my office. We really have. The team gathered outside my door. Someone shouted, "Speech." Everyone laughed. I walked into the middle of the room. I only have one thing to say. They became quiet. Thank you. Oliver smiled. That's it. Success is never built alone. The room filled with applause. That night, I drove home with the windows down. The city lights looked brighter than I remembered. Maybe they hadn't changed. Maybe I had. For the first time in years, my smile felt natural. I wasn't pretending anymore. A week later, I received an invitation. The National Entrepreneurship Awards. Oliver waved the envelope. You have to go. What about you? I'll be there. I hate speeches. You'll survive. I survived worse. He smiled knowingly. Exactly. The evening of the ceremony arrived. The ballroom sparkled with lights. Business leaders filled the room. Journalists moved between tables. Cameras flashed everywhere. Oliver adjusted my tie. You nervous? A little. You'll do great. I hope you're right. The announcer stepped onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen. The room became quiet. Several awards were presented before my category appeared. My heart pounded. And this year's Entrepreneur of the Year award goes to... A short pause followed. Ethan Carter. Applause erupted across the ballroom. Oliver pushed my shoulder. Go. I walked toward the stage. The applause grew louder. The presenter handed me the award. Congratulations. Thank you. I stepped behind the microphone. For a moment, I simply looked at the audience. Then I smiled. A year ago, I believed my life had ended. The room listened quietly. I've learned that sometimes the worst day of your life becomes the beginning of your best chapter. Several people nodded. I accepted failure. I shook my head. No. I accepted change. The audience applauded. I also learned that success means very little if you forget the people who helped you. I looked toward Oliver. My team believed in me before anyone else did. They stood and applauded. So this award belongs to all of us. More applause filled the room. I stepped away from the microphone. As I walked off the stage, something caught my attention. Near the back of the ballroom sat Victoria. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't smiling. She simply watched quietly. When our eyes met, she applauded. Not loudly, not dramatically, just sincerely. I understood immediately. She wasn't clapping because she expected another chance. She was applauding because she had finally accepted the truth. The ceremony ended an hour later. Guests gathered in small groups. I thanked several investors before heading toward the exit. A familiar voice stopped me. Ethan. I turned around. Victoria stood there. She looked healthier than the last time I'd seen her. The sadness remained, but there was also calm. Congratulations. Thank you. You deserve the award. I appreciate that. She smiled gently. You look happy. I am. She nodded. I can see it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I've been getting therapy. I smiled. I'm glad. I should have done it years ago. Probably. She laughed softly. My therapist says I spent too much of my life trying to fix everyone except myself. That sounds wise. It hurts. Healing usually does. She looked down at her hands. I've been rebuilding my company. How's it going? Slowly. But it's going? Yes. I'm happy to hear that. She looked surprised again. You really mean that? I do. I spent so long believing you'd always hate me. I never wanted to. She took a deep breath. I still regret everything. I know. I don't think that feeling will ever disappear. It might become quieter. I hope so. She looked at me with tired but honest eyes. I hope one day I can forgive myself. You will. You think so? I do. She smiled through tears. Thank you. You're welcome. I won't keep you. She stepped backward. I just wanted to tell you something. I waited. You taught me that love without respect isn't really love. I nodded. I wish I had learned that before I lost you. She wiped away another tear. But at least I finally learned it. I'm glad. She extended her hand. Instead of old lovers, we shook hands like two people whose story had finally reached its ending. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Victoria. She turned around. This time she didn't look back. Neither did I. I walked outside into the cool evening air. The city buzzed with life around me. I stood on the front steps holding my award. A cheerful voice interrupted my thoughts. There you are. I turned. Olivia walked toward me with a smile. She had joined our company 8 months earlier as a marketing director. Over time, she had become one of my closest friends. She pointed at the trophy. Looks good. I think so. You earned it. Thank you. She folded her arms. So, I raised an eyebrow. So, dinner. I smiled. I'd like that. I was hoping you'd say yes. We started walking together toward the parking lot. She glanced at me. You seem lighter tonight. I am. What changed? I looked up at the stars. I finally closed the last chapter. She smiled. Ready to write a new one? Absolutely. As we reached the car, I realized something I had never fully understood before. 4 months after the wedding, I believed the best revenge would be proving Victoria wrong. I had been mistaken. The best revenge wasn't success. It wasn't money. It wasn't awards. It wasn't watching someone else regret losing me. The best revenge was building a life so full that I no longer needed revenge at all. I climbed into the car beside Olivia. For the first time, my future didn't remind me of my past. It belonged only to me. As the city lights disappeared behind us, one final thought settled quietly in my heart. Sometimes losing the person you love is exactly how you find yourself.